Right, I'll be doing another webcam stream again. So if you saw the community post regarding this, I'll potentially do up to 2 hours today, but that depends how good the chat is and everything. So I'll do at least an hour. All right, Everton. So yeah, I'll do at least an hour on today's chat, and then I'll potentially go up to 2 hours, or definitely longer than an hour, depending on if the chat's interesting topics and not somebody asking like the same gas mask question over and over. That's right, Everton. Did you find a filter you wanted in the end or whatever? Don't forget to like the stream, everybody, because it does seem to help. Normally the like button's down there, isn't it, for people viewing, but it shows me the likes up on that side of the screen. So, yeah. It seems to help them get shared. Thanks for that. Even Richard. All right, cool. Let us know when you get that W49 finished, John, because that sounds interesting. All right, cheers, your Asian links. That's probably my favourite of my deactivated guns, if I point in the right direction of it. But, yeah, luckily I got it back when you could get deactivated fouls for, like, the £400 mark, because now they're like £1,000 or more for, like, ones that are even more deactivated than that because of how the law's changed. But yeah, I really like SLRs just because the visual look of them. There isn't a theme, Zeppelin, but hopefully if people talk about interesting topics, we'll keep the stream going for it. Yeah, I like the Fallout games. The original Fallouts I was never really able to get into that much. I think they're good games. It's just I think they've aged quite, badly. I'm not saying like a bad thing about the game. It's just because of when they were made. A lot of the mechanics in the game are quite outdated and hard to deal with now. Bethesda, I have mixed feelings about their things. Fallout New Vegas I really like, but that wasn't made by Bethesda. It was made by Obsidian. That's why I think New Vegas is so good. So obviously you had a different team making the game, and they had the engine and everything already made for them. I mean, in an ideal world, you'd get somebody like Obsidian maybe making a Fallout game in the Fallout 4 style engine. They'd actually get a couple of years to make it, so it's not rushed out the door and it's actually finished. I mean, yeah, the problem is, even if Obsidian, like you're saying, Ben, even if Obsidian did it on the Fallout 4 engine, it's still Creation Engine, which is actually Gamebryo in disguise, isn't it? I mean, it'd be lovely if they did it in a brand new fit-for-purpose engine. I've seen them, Jacob, but I don't own one. But if you go to lots of tank museums, there's Browning 50 cal M2 machine guns on top of, like, tanks and things. Right, so if people are wondering what I'm drinking, it might look like a clear liquid, but it's actually not. It's cream soda in there, which is like a vanilla tasting thing. But what I've got mixed in there is this. That 95% Polish vodka or grain alcohol, whatever it is. So, yeah, literally like paint stripper. So when people go, oh, how do you drink that? You literally have to mix it. I've drunken this a couple of times neat, and it literally takes the lining off your fucking throat. So don't drink it neat, because it can make you either instantly vomit or, just feel awful. But yeah, 95%. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to put a little bit more in. And I seriously mean a little bit because how strong it is. Just because I can't taste the alcohol in there all that much. There you go, you can see that like clouding through there. It's quite interesting to watch. Whether or not the webcam shows that properly, I don't know, but you can see kind of where it looks, like when you get oily stuff in water. So that will do in terms of, yeah, I'm not slewing already, but PDFs, the hose on the PDF, if you want to do it properly, there's like a little wire bit around the nose sort of hose connector, so you'd have to take that wire off either with wire cutters or pliers, but it might be quite difficult to do. Yeah, well, that's impressive, New Blue, but I don't know if it's impressive for a good reason. I've done videos on cleaning masks. With more modern masks, you can literally just put them in washing up liquid and give them a scrub with, like, not a hard scrub, but with a soft brush or whatever to get them clean. With older masks, you want to just get like a bit of antiseptic in water and then just kind of gently wipe the mask with a cloth. Most interesting vodka I've had was Norwegian vodka. In terms of like it tasting very good, very smooth. But the thing is with vodka, I don't particularly care all that much because I either use vodka or a mixer or have it in shots, and when it's in the shot form, I don't really care about the taste. All right, your mother? So yeah, hopefully we'll get some interesting topics going on tonight. We'll see how drunk I appear on the stream as it goes on. But I don't think I'll get too drunk, as I said, because although it's strong, if you think about it, it's only like having, for one shot of that, 2.5 shots of regular vodka or something. So yeah, that is pretty strong, isn't it? But yeah. All right, have fun, Richie and 10. I've never really listened to hard bass. What, like a pH gas hood, or do you mean like the gas hoods that go on the M17s and the M10Ms? The M17 ones definitely, because they're just kind of made from a raincoat sort of material. The pH gas hoods, the replicas, yes, gently. Original World War I ones, I don't know if I'd risk it, just because, you know, how old and fragile they'd be. Oh, in England, bass as in, you know, like bassy music is pronounced bass, not bass, as in bass like the fish. I have never heard somebody say this is bassy music instead of bassy music. That's very cool, Nazar. It's pronounced, and he's not even spelt the difference in pronouncing. But I'm not going to get into an argument on that, especially not when I've had a bit to drink. You are not banned, Everton. I can see your message, but if you posted something just now that's not come through, you might want to just try rewording it, because it might be that YouTube's decided it doesn't like. Interesting. I've had cucumbers in a couple of things, like Pims and that, where they're kind of refreshing in that, but I just prefer stuff like grape, the melon, and like pineapple kind of stuff. Yeah, I've actually had to on purposely show that comment, Lloyd, because YouTube just hid that one, but it hid it in like the held for review kind of sense, not completely banned. No, you're not guaranteed to get asbestosis or inhale asbestos, but through breathing through a GP5 filter, because they're only like 1 to 3% asbestos in the particulate level, and if the filter's intact, it won't come out, but it's still not a good idea. All right. Thank you, DJ M7. If you want a Discord invite at any point, because you've just given me a donation, so thank you for that. Please, at any point, post a Discord ID, and you can do that later on if it's not convenient now, and I'll add you to the Discord server. So you're in hospital at the moment. Hope you're not too ill or anything. It's real but deactivated, so it means it would never fire again. But it means you can have them just hanging on a wall or whatever as a collectible. I don't have outserts for the FM12. No, I've got outserts for the S10, just those red ones. But you can get FM12 outserts, but I don't have any because the S10 and the FM12 ones are different sizes. I don't think that name's on the block list, but yeah, just use this one then if you're can't type on the other one for whatever reason. I don't know, I don't go on there, Marshmallows, and I'm not going to get involved in any e-drama, so please don't try and start bringing it up. Normally how they deactivate guns is they put some welds in it and sometimes remove parts. and like they grind the firing pin out. But say, for example, in the barrel, normally what they'll do is they'll cut a hole in the barrel, put like a bit of whatever in it, and then heat that up with a blowtorch till it's essentially welded into the barrel. Yeah, I've seen you on a few streams as well. The Steyr AUG is pretty cool. But I've obviously that's cool. Don't worry about it, Jacob, but yeah. Yeah, like I said, there's just a lot of pointless e-drama stuff on the internet, and it's annoying when people keep trying to get me to go, oh, this person said this about you, do a video calling them out, and it's just like, no thanks. I don't want to get into that. I know a lot of stuff with e-drama. I don't know if it necessarily applies to gas mask stuff, but a lot of stuff with e-drama is apparently because people think it makes their YouTube channel bigger. So they think if they start online fights with people, it will get people viewing. But I think that's like the most shitty way of getting views, isn't it? What do you mean? Could you buy a filter and know you got poisoned? I don't quite get that, Everton. What was your annoying gas mask comment? What did you say? Which type of gas hood? Things like the M17 gas hood, or like the PH gas hood, or the P gas hood, or the hypo helmet? Ah, it's very cool, Eurasian links. I see, Jacob. I said if you've used a GP5 filter, what I was saying is I wouldn't worry about it too much, but I wouldn't risk keep breathing through it, because basically they're only 1 to 3% asbestos. It's mixed in the particulate layer and like a compound. And obviously, asbestos is one of those things that any asbestos is harmful to you, but the more that gets in your lungs, the more likely you are to get problems down the line. So yeah, a GP5 doesn't really contain dangerous levels of asbestos as far as regarding asbestos goes, but I still wouldn't risk personally breathing through them, because you're still exposing yourself to a risk you could completely avoid. I've done some Stalker Call of Chernobyl streams, but I wouldn't really want to just do Let's Play videos instead of normal videos on this channel. Doesn't that indicate rank or something? I wasn't going to say any clue. As far as I'm aware, with certain colours of exhale valves or masks like that, it's to indicate the rank of like the police or whatever wearing them if they're in non-military use. So like a sergeant or somebody like that might have a white or a blue one. Sometimes also it's just to indicate it's a civilian kind of mask, not being used by the military. But you'd have to look up which colours are used by which nations for which purpose. Or it might even be like certain police forces for which purpose. But yeah, because the exhale valve cover's removable, they can literally just order the mask with separate exhale valve colours, and they can just literally be clipped on. Because I've seen ones with like yellow and all sorts of colours. Yeah, it could very well be that, Lloyd, because I think it could just be, to indicate when everybody's got their masks on, who's in charge. Because obviously if you've got loads of police and NBC gear, you wouldn't know who's who. So I think that's just to indicate so people know who they're meant to be reporting to. You know, who's who kind of thing. Yeah, I watched all of Chernobyl. I've got the Blu-ray ordered. I think that comes out in a month or so, doesn't it? Or a couple of weeks. Right, for making tinted lenses, I can't really advise you anything. I know one thing you could do if you don't want to do extra lenses is just literally to simply get some of that film you can get for car windows or regular windows and stick that on top of the lens, the tinted film. But Richard Weaponsmith, who might be in the comments again in a bit, he's done custom lenses for one of his masks, so he might be able to advise you. He's back now, so if you ask Richard, you do an at and ask Richard, he'll be able to explain what he did to you. Or you could watch his video. Yeah, it was all right, Mike. Volunteered today as usual. Luckily today I didn't feel ill or anything. I think it was because it was a lot cooler. It was quite overcast to begin with, and then the sun came out. But I took my British military canteen with me to the Blue Cross, so I put a litre of water and orange squash in there at the beginning of the day. Had drunk pretty much all of that by break time. Then on break, I refilled it with more orange squash and water. And then I finished that off again a couple of hours later. So I was obviously pretty hydrated because I'd had nearly 2 litres of water sort of in a few hours. So that obviously helped. Yeah, went to the wildlife park because I have the annual pass. But there was like 10 plus school trips there today. So thankfully, because I have the annual pass, it means it doesn't cost me anything per time to get in. So I just had a quick walk around because there was so many screaming, horrible little children there that, you know, I just literally looked at the outside animals where it was as quiet as possible and then went back to my car and came home. I watched a couple of things when I got in. I watched an interesting movie, very offensive, but it's, you know, offensive on purpose kind of movie. Puppet Master, The Littlest Reich. It's the kind of reboot of the Puppet Master series I did, and I really enjoyed that. Pretty disgusting, gory, and offensive, but, you know, in the best possible way. Then I had a nap for a couple of hours. Yeah, his video's not actually on tinted lenses, Yuri, but it's about installing custom lenses into masks. You kind of need them as an outsert, not an insert, Wilderness Systems, but yeah, polycarbonate compared to glass lenses means it's not going to crack easily. Well, if you mean the shelf, that's not a shelf, it's a Lee Enfield, but if you mean the ones at either end, they're the GP5s. What was in the new Polish MP6 gas mask? I'd get an MP6 if I could get one, but sadly they're quite hard to find. I say Polish FP5 filters, Everton. They're basically the modern Polish military filters, but they're 40mm normalised rather than being GOST or NATO. So it means they fit both GOST and NATO masks. That's completely opinion-based, Nazar. There's loads of good NBC-rated masks. Literally all military masks are NBC-rated, but even if you want modern ones, there's so many options you've got that it all comes down to opinion of what masks you like, really. As you know, my favourite's the CT12, but that doesn't mean it's the best mask ever. It's just my personal favourite. Yeah, as I already said, Poop Shoot, they put a weld in the barrel, they take the firing pin out. It's had some of its internals removed as well. So if you wanted to reactivate it, which is obviously illegal and I wouldn't advise it, you'd actually have to like try and hunt down parts from a live foul to put in there as well. As I already just said, I really like the Avon CT12, but there's other masks I like as well. But pretty much any modern military mask is going to be pretty damn good. You know, there's exceptions of ones I don't particularly like the Scott GSR, but most modern 40mm masks I think are very good. Yeah, Israeli masks are fine. I think they go over the top with deactivating weapons so they can't be reactivated, but annoyingly it's been one of those things for years where they keep making the laws on them stricter and stricter, despite the fact there's no crime being committed with deactivated guns being reactivated, so it's just pointless. Scat GSR. It's weird because there's some other Scott masks I quite like. The GSR just seems to be one they made so cheap and, you know, to poor quality standards. I guess it was because they literally said the M51 weapons trial. But if you give us less money than an Avon wants, we'll do you the same mask. And then that ended up biting them in the ass. Does it have to be zombie related, Elliot? Because I can tell you some very good apocalypse films that aren't zombie related. Fred's is a very good post-apocalyptic film about nuclear war. There's the BBC series Day of the Triffids from the 80s, and that deals with a lot of post-apocalyptic concepts. Because although it's about man-eating plants, a lot of what Day of the Triffids is about is like how society falls apart and then tries to rebuild itself after an apocalyptic event. 28 Days Later is a very good zombie film, and that's based off of Day of the Triffids again. There's obviously like the Mad Max series, but they're not very realistic, but they're good fun. Yeah, Omega Man's great, the Charlton Heston one. In terms of I Am Legend, you've obviously got the book I Am Legend, and then the 2 films worth watching based on the book. The Last Man on Earth with Vincent Price in, which is the closest of any of the films done to the book. But it's still not completely accurate to the book. And then you've got, the Amiga Man with Charlton Heston, which is the most fun out of any of the adaptions, but not very related to the book. Then you've got like the Will Smith I Am Legend that's not close to the book and it's just boring. Yeah, I'm going to plan on making an ASMR Geiger counter video at some point. I've just not got around to it yet. Yeah, original Dawn and Day of the Dead are very good, and Night of the Living Dead. I like all the Romero's films, really. Yeah, I like the 1973 The Crazies. The remake I didn't like as much, but I might rewatch that at some point. That sounds good. Do you know what model of mask it is, Yuri? But on eBay at the moment, you can get it, at least in the UK, you can get Italian Spaziani TR2002 panoramic masks for £30, which are very good. What's your favourite bit in the original The Crazies? I like the old lady with the knitting needles. That's a good scene. Yeah, I've seen The Mist. Yeah, a bit of a downbeat ending, isn't it? I can make another EDC video, but at the moment my EDC varies a lot depending on where I am. So if I'm going out at the moment, my EDC is quite light, because obviously it's the summer and it's hot. If I'm volunteering, then I'll have a knife like this one on me, because I've got a reason to have a knife on me. When I'm at work, my EDC is even lighter. But I suppose what I haven't included in all the other EDC videos is this. My tablet box, because this is quite a practical thing, where I can have my paracetamol, caffeine tablets, codeine, like diarrhea tablets, and some more sealed paracetamol, and like antihistamines, and keep them all in one sort of thing. Alright, cool, Mike. I saw you'd done that, but I haven't got around to watching it yet, because I think I got the notification just as I had my nap, and I was like, oh, I don't want to watch anything now, I want to sleep. I think episode 1 of Chernobyl was probably my favourite, but I do like all of the series, but I think episode 1's got all of the sort of delusional, bureaucratic elements of the Soviet Union, where everybody's sort of denying it's happened. Also, don't forget to like the stream, everybody, because at the moment it says there's 37 people liking and 29 likes, so let's see if we can get that like counter higher than the amount of people viewing, which would be good. So thank you, everybody. If I miss a comment that you've put, just put it back on and I'll try and get back to it, because sometimes I don't miss comments intentionally. It's just because the chat moves on too much and I'm taking too long answering one comment. Yeah, they're interesting. They had guys with M17s on in The Mist, didn't they? Which the US guys probably would have had in M40s, but they also had guys with PBFs on for some reason. But whatever, it looked cool. Yeah, 35, that's good. And we've got 34 current viewers, so yeah, that's good. So yeah, periodically I'll just ask people to like the stream, because the more likes these streams seem to get, the more YouTube seems to share my videos, which is obviously helpful. The M1 gas mask, I don't know, I have to Google it. Lots of gas masks I can't always remember the names of without looking up, just because there's so many different types of masks. Oh, so it looks like the Czech CM3 kind of thing, but with a hose. That's interesting. I assume it came before the CM3, did it? Let's have a look. Is there any page of info on it? But yeah, to me it looks very similar to a CM3, just literally with a hose attached to it. Maybe it's a children's mask, so I don't know. I'd guess it's either a mask that came out before the CM3, or I'd guess it's a children's mask. Because quite often children's masks have the hose attached to the mask, so children can't lose them. That's cool. There's an M65 up on that shelf up there. As long as they make a good face seal to your face, M65s are very good masks. The only thing I don't like about the M65 it's because the peripheral seal isn't very good. For me, I have to do the straps uncomfortably tight to get a face seal, so I'd rather not use it. Mining safety applications, or mining safety appliances, whatever they're called. MSA makes some good masks. It depends on the model of mask, though, because MSA did like US military masks under production license, and compared to companies like Scott, the MSA masks are very well built. I think 3M did them as well, and 3M are probably the best built ones, some of the masks. But I don't know too many unique MSA masks. But MSA also did rebreathers for miners and things like that. It depends completely on what you want them for electro service. For the most point, I like them without the hoses, just with a filter on the left cheek, as in a 40mm filter screwed into the left cheek, just because that's practical. But the good thing about a hose is you can have a very heavy, bulky filter and satchel, and it doesn't weigh all that much when it's attached to you via a satchel. Maybe stuff some newspaper in it or something, Evan. Stuff newspaper in it to see if you can get it to the shape, and then just leave it for like a few days with the newspaper stuff in and see if it regains its original shape. It's probably where it's just been stored with a load of weight on it. Yeah, an FM12 is a very good mask, Lloyd, so yeah, just go for an FM12. CT12 is very hard to find. I was just lucky that when I first got interested in the FM12 and CT12, there was a CT12 on sale for like £30-odd. That's weird, Yuri, but you can comment on this account, can't you? So just keep commenting on this account. That's weird, I don't know why. Because I said the name you said I don't think I've blocked at all, so weird, I don't know. Maybe it's like the YouTube shadow banning thing where they just don't let people do certain comments. Right, see, I don't know tutorials. Right, let's have some more vanilla flavoured vodka, because why not? Yeah, you can get 40mm NATO hoses. What I'll try and get at some point, but I've not seen any for sale for reasonable prices, are the hoses that are shaped like a right angle at one side. So it's meant to be the side you put on the mask is the one that's on the right angle, goes straight down rather than going out like that. And then you put the conventional end of the hose on the filter. I quit smoking a couple of years ago, electro service, but I vape now. But one of the main reasons I vape now is because with ulcerative colitis, nicotine seems to really help keep that in check, along with my prescription medication. So if I'm taking my prescription medication and vaping, I mean, I can use a nicotine patch and stuff like that. I just find vaping's more convenient and more pleasurable, basically. If I'm vaping, I still get pains from ulcerative colitis, but I don't really get any of the other like horrible effects like internal bleeding and stuff like that. So evening, Vladimir. So yeah, that's quite good for that. But no, I don't smoke tobacco anymore because I quit. It looks cool, but I don't know if it's very practical, Yuri, to be honest. Yeah, there's lots of good things like that, isn't there, Ghost Jesus, where you can just keep it out of the way for all things like that. Alright, glad you enjoyed the videos, Maxi, thank you. Why is that extremely ironic, Yuri? I mostly quit due to the expense and I mean, obviously there is a health bit to it. I'm not going to pretend, smoking's good for you or anything like that. Although if you have ulcerative colitis, it's one of those things where nicotine actually is good for you, even if the other stuff in the smoke isn't. Part of it was, I would guess, a medical reason, because obviously I did get a little bit of paranoia when I smoked. I was like, oh, every time you have a bit of a pain, is this a cancer? Obviously it's not, but mostly just a lot of it is cost, because in the UK they tax tobacco so heavily now. It's more, let me check what it is, but I think, although I didn't really smoke straights, I generally smoked like pipe tobacco or cigars. I'm just going to have a look on Sainsbury's website to get an average idea of what the current prices of like 50 grams of tobacco. 16 to 20 pounds for 50 grams of like tobacco that you roll yourself or put in a pipe. So yeah, stupidly expensive. Vaping I like more because it doesn't irritate your throat as much, and it's obviously healthier. Whether or not vaping is completely healthy, nobody really knows, but it's certainly better than smoking. I've seen them, but I don't have one up his down. Okay, prove it's unhealthy, Yuri, I'll wait. Because all the scientific studies on it know that it's a lot safer than it's a lot safer than smoking, but they don't actually know if it's completely safe or not. But if there's an option between smoking and vaping, vaping is certainly a lot safer, as long as you're not buying really dodgy liquids that contain God knows what. Yeah, cigars are still taxed in the UK, though, Ghost Jesus. I don't think cigars and pipe tobacco are taxed as much as rolling tobacco and straights, thankfully, like when I used to smoke, because but they are still taxed. So generally, yeah, if you're buying nicer cigars, there's more of an incentive to do it because you didn't notice as much on tax and they tasted way better. If you vape for a gas mask filter, the filter will block all the vape. Vaping's healthier than smiling. Oh no, I'm going to get cancer. I've got a few helmets, Abraham, not anything significant, but I've got videos on my helmets. But when I see an interesting helmet design I don't have, I normally buy them. But generally, because helmets take up more space and they're generally more expensive and everything, I don't bother. Don't think I've ever tried backwards cigarillos. With cigarillos, the ones I normally had peach the most were Cafe Creams, or whatever they all called, or Cafe Creme. And the cheaper alternative to Cafe Cremes, which tasted exactly the same to me, which were just named after a bloke. I think they were called something like Henry Winterman. I think they're Henry Winterman's Moments, weren't they? Because there's more expensive Henry Winterman cigars. But with cigarillos, I also had some Cuban cigarillos that were pretty good. Yeah, snus is actually banned in the UK, weirdly. Because you could get it when I was on holiday in Norway and Sweden, places like that. But they've actually banned snus here. Now let me show you what I've tried. I've tried these. These are all right. I've still got a load of these because, as I said, I've quit. So you can see that there's still loads of things in these packets where I've quit and they're just sitting around. So Panamas, these are all right. They're a lot better than cigarettes. Slim Panatellas. Right, what else can I find? Oh, we can play the trading card game. Smokers Die Younger. Ask Weapon Collector about the trading card game if you don't know about them. I don't know if I've got a Dracula one. We'll have to see. Monte Cristos, these are very nice. These are cigarillos. Yeah, you might get in trouble as well, Bone Broth. This one's got a heroin needle on it. Smoking is highly addictive. Don't smoke, because apparently smoking's addictive as heroin, even though it fucking isn't. If you look up the evidence on most addictive drugs by substance, heroin and opioids are like way up there. If you look at addiction scales, where they look at pleasure, mental, like, what's the word where you want to keep taking something? I know, not addiction, but like the way you feel you need to take it. I can't think of the word for it. But yeah, it's for both mental, physical, like withdrawal kind of symptoms, and pleasure. Opioids are like essentially score almost the highest score on all of them. Yeah, essentially like cravings. But yeah. So this one's got a heroin needle on it, and it's Cubans. These are Cafe Cremes. These are ones I smoke quite often when I used to smoke. As you can see, this is nearly a full packet. Do love that cigar smell, though. We've got the same one on there. We've got two for the bloke on the morgue table. This one says smoking kills. They either say smoking kills or smoking is harmful to you and others around you. What else have we got in this drawer? Let's have a look. Romeo and Juliet. Really like Romeo and Juliet. They're probably my favourite brand of Cubans. Smoking when pregnant harms your baby. Yeah, well, you're a dipshit if you smoke when pregnant. Smoking kills. Smoking kills again on these Cohibas. Yeah, I quite like hammers. Oh, look, it's the bloke on the morgue table again. He's winning all these at the moment, isn't he? It's like they fucking are stingy with whatever pictures of scare pictures they put on them. Partagas. I think Partagas are the ones I didn't like as much because they had quite an acrid taste. It's the baby one again, so 2 for the baby, 3 for the bloke in the morgue. No, I've never been to Cuba. Here's my nice pine box with some cigars in. And you can see there's a mark on the back there where they put a bloody label on it that I ripped off because I wanted this as a nice wooden box, and they stick the labels on them. But there you go. See, there's most of them are left in there, or I've not smoked them. This is the thing. Oh, that does smell really nice though. With all this tobacco, I've had lots of this for years, and it's just sat in the drawer not being smoked because I quit. And most of my friends who smoke don't want cigars because they find them too harsh because they're cigarette smokers. Here's some Romeo and Juliets I got from Poland in Purito form. So it's similar to these Pantellas, you know, where you get like long, thin cigars. A bit like Hamlet's, actually, to be honest. But I don't know what that... Maybe a Polish person can tell me what this warning means, but I'm assuming it says smoking kills you or smoking is addictive. And I've got another packet of Romeo and Juliets that are unopened from Poland. And I was there because these were like a £5. They were like 20 to 25 zloty or something when I was in Poland, so I bought a couple of these when I was over there. They're very nice, but again, I've quit. So, as in what pipe tobacco I liked? I liked the first brand of pipe tobacco I liked was the Benson and Hedges one, which was, I think, called something Virginia, wasn't it? It's not Golden Virginia because that's a cigarette tobacco, but it's called like Mellow Virginia or something like that. It was quite pleasant, just a very fruity tasting, Virginia blend. Then I got some St. Bruno. St. Bruno has a really interesting taste. If ever I started smoking again, I'd probably go back straight instantly to St. Bruno just because it had such a weird, unusual taste, but it kind of tasted slightly creamy. It was nice. But my favourite pipe tobacco was Dunhill Royal Yacht, which is apparently what Stalin smoked. And as much as he was an evil commie bastard, he did have a good taste in tobacco, I can tell you that. But let me just pop all these back in the straw, and then I'll be back on the chat. Look, there's one of the pipes. Ah, you're a very pure person in your mother, aren't you? But fair enough. Is that for like religious reasons, or is it just because you never wanted to start or whatever? All right, thank you, Nautilus. Yeah, sounds like they're very racist, Richard, for not including a certain percentage of the population on those packets. What a bunch of racists. That's strange. I think Benson Hedges is still pretty here over here, Vladimir. But as I said, I don't really smoke cigarettes all that much. When I used to smoke, I usually smoked cigars and pipe tobacco, you know, where I didn't inhale. I think you'll be able to guess the answer to that, Nautilus, but I might incriminate myself if I say anything. But when it comes to lots of substances like that, I've tried all sorts. And my doctor currently has me on something that's much stronger than weed anyway, so there you go. That's considered a more it used to be considered a more harmful drug on the like illegal drug classifications if you had it not under prescription. Some of you might know what that is anyway, but there you go. Where we were on about heroin earlier. Codeine phosphate, if it focuses on that. It's only 15 mg, but you can take more if you want to. But opioid painkiller, so essentially it's the same stuff as morphine and heroin, just not, you'd have to take more to get the same effect. It's the exact same shit. Well, funnily enough, my actual regular doctor didn't like giving me opioid painkillers, even though I'm chronically ill. And then I ended up booking an appointment not with my regular doctor, and she's like, "Oh, you poor thing, let's get you a repeat prescription for codeine sorted out straight away." And I was like, "Thanks." So, that doctor said as well, if I actually really need like oral morphine to take when my colitis flares up again, she'd happily prescribe it to me. So that's quite nice, I guess. But I actually wonder on old pictures of gas masks where everybody used to chain smoke back in like World War II and that, if anybody ever cut a hole in their gas mask specifically so they could just stick a cigarette in there. I've got 2 backpacks which are actually pretty good. Well, my dad's got an old hiking type one that's really good. That's like a 90-litre capacity one, which is the one I took up Ben Nevis. But in terms of backpacks I have, I've got an old French military one, I think it's a Belgian military one, and they're both like good waterproof kind of coated rucksacks that I've never got around to doing videos or filling up. Well, here's the thing. I definitely advise that Iron Man for people that don't have chronic pain, but if you have chronic pain, you're fucked. Because your option is you take something that's potentially highly addictive to you, but it gets rid of your pain, that's the only thing that will, or you suffer horribly. And most doctors are of the opinion, and I'd agree with them, it's better not to be in chronic pain. Now, the good thing is for me, I can have days where I don't take codeine at all, although if I don't take codeine, then my ulcerative colitis pain always comes back, even when it's in remission. So I find 15 to 30 mg of codeine every 4 hours generally does me fine. But yeah, for some people, opioids can be horribly addicting. That's obviously why heroin is such an addictive drug. Cannabis oil can stop pain, but it doesn't stop UC pain. It helps, it doesn't stop it. What's your question, Nazaro? I haven't seen it. I keep seeing you say, dude, please answer my question, but I've not seen your question, so post it again. YouTube might be removing the message. No, I don't want to quit vaping, as said, because nicotine helps with my ulcerative colitis, and I'm not worried about health conditions from, so yeah, Mankung do some very good crossbows, your mother. There's several different models, because the newer Mankung ones are better than the older Mankung ones. But any Mankung one's good enough if you can get it cheap enough. But let me show you a good model of Mankung. I'm pretty sure it's a Mankung, not a Polang, anyway. Just give me a moment. Just put this on the bed behind me with Scott M98 in it. Right, the crossbows are stuck together, so just a second. I'll see if I can get this out. If not, there we go. Because of how I've stored the crossbows, they tend to get stuck because they all kind of just go over each other. It's a bit dusty, but here's one of the best Mankung ones I've currently got. It's either a Mankung or a Polang. They get rebranded as the Jaguar or the Firecat quite a lot in the UK, but this is a pretty good crossbow. It's basically the same as the first design crossbow I got, just like improved in every way. A better stock on it, a better safety system. It's got one of those rails on it, which is really good, that kind of ratchets. See that? So you can do range adjustment on the rail without adjusting your sights. So yeah, these are pretty good. And these are often like £50 or so in the UK now. 50 to £70 sort of range. For that price, they are very good. So if you can get them in Israel, mate. So is the MK400 a compound, or is that a recurve? Tell you what, I'll do for you, your mother, in a moment. I'll go on. Let me go on the Mankung website, and then I can find out what the actual Mankung serial names. Mankung sounds a bit wrong, doesn't it? Show Iron Man vodka. I don't even know if it's technically vodka. It might even be like grain alcohol. But yeah, 95%. Look. So yeah, I've got it in here, mixed with cream soda. Right, so I'll be missing the chat for a bit. I will come back to the chat. I'm just going to have a look on Mankung's website, because I want to, for your mother, see what some of the crossbows are by their actual model numbers. So you said the Mark MK400, didn't you? Right, crossbows. Oh, the MK400 is like the compound one I've got in the cupboard. I think mine's the 450, isn't it? Let me have a look. I can't actually remember. Is mine the 450? No, I've got the MK400. So yeah, I do know what the MK400 is. One Blades and Bows sent me for free. Yeah, that's very good, but it's a bit too powerful for my garden. But yeah, that's £175 compound, shoots I think about 350 feet per second with a 20-inch bolt. So pretty good. But yeah, I personally prefer recurves to compounds. So let me have a look at some recurves for you. The MK-XB25 Spectre looks pretty cool. The XB23 Anaconda looks very similar to my one as well. I'd avoid... oh no, it's not the same one as mine. The MK150A2s and the A1 are very similar to the first crossbow I got. They're all right, but they're a bit outdated now. They're not as good in terms of like sights and safety and all that. The MK120 is like the one I've converted into the £40 crossbow. So out of all the ones on the Mankung site, and I'll just link you in case you don't know what I'm on at the moment. Yeah, there used to be this amazing site in the UK called Blades and Bows, and I used to buy knives and things from all the time, Your Mother, and crossbows. And then at one point, they did a thing where they sent a load of free crossbows to UK YouTubers that did that sort of stuff. So basically, all we had to do was do a review of it. It didn't have to be biased, and it was because they opened some of the crossbows to like take photos of them. They can't resell those crossbows, but they can send them for free. So they sent me a crossbow just to do a decent review on, and it was, yeah, the MK400. But the problem is, it's a bit too powerful for my garden. So as much as it's my most powerful crossbow, and it fucking kicks ass, I didn't use it all that much often. It's in the cupboard at the moment. Sadly, I can't really show you that one because it's like buried deep in that cupboard because I just don't use it very often because it's too powerful. But yeah, if I was going to recommend from the Mankung website any of those crossbows to you, I would personally say go for either this one or this one, because these look like very good high quality versions of, you know, just the generic recurve crossbows, and I think personally you'll get the most fun out of those. Personally though, I'd see if you can get it in something a bit less than £175, because £175 draw weight isn't all that fun to keep loading and shooting. I can do it, it's just it puts a bit of pain on my back where I've had the back injury before and all that sort of stuff. So personally, I think 100 to 150 pound sort of draw weight range is the ideal sort of weight you want for a crossbow draw weight. What's your question, Azar? You keep saying answer my question. If you would get health issues, would you quit then? I'd have to weigh it up. Basically, it would be down to which is more harmful to me in the long run, or almost in the short term, vaping or ulcerative colitis. Because ulcerative colitis will kill you if it develops too badly or require you to have pretty much life-changing surgery. So in that thing, if somebody told me I would die of cancer at 60 plus from vaping, or but my UC symptoms wouldn't be there, I'd actually go for that, because it means I at least get to enjoy my life while I'm still able to do stuff. Ulcerative colitis is horrible. I wouldn't wish it on anybody. It's better than having Crohn's disease, but both of those are fucking horrible. And that's the thing I don't think a lot of people understand when you have a chronic illness. Terminal illness means it'll kill you. Chronic illness is just where you have it for the rest of your life. When you have a chronic illness, there's lots of things that, you know, your perspectives on them totally change. And that's like the same thing I was saying with like opioid painkillers. If I become an opioid addict, fine, because it takes my pain away. You know, it's that kind of logic. I think a lot of people wouldn't get that logic, but if you're in that sort of situation, I mean, if you're somebody that could quit smoking and vaping, you know, and you've got no reason to want to do it other than you just enjoy it, sure, go ahead, quit. If you're somebody where it helps relieve some of your symptoms, do it, I'd say. Ulcerative colitis, Lloyd. It's where your autoimmune system breaks and it begins attacking your colon. So my autoimmune system tries to destroy my colon. It causes internal bleeding and inflammation. If I don't have medication or whatever to treat it, it causes my colon to rupture and kill me, basically. Thankfully, I'm on medication that helps to treat it to an extent, and nicotine also treats it. But it basically causes pain every day of your life. You become anemic from losing blood every time you go to the toilet. Every time I take a shit, I just bleed, basically. Not at the moment. I've been in remission for 2 months since I've started vaping every day. It's incurable. Best case scenario or worst case scenario kind of thing, what they can do is cut your colon out and give you a stoma bag, or whatever it's called. Best case scenario, like me, where they give you medication, painkillers and medication just to control it, but they can't cure it. Survival scenario, I'd have to have my medication for ulcerative colitis. I'd say nicotine because that helps as well, and it's a stimulant and it keeps you alert. Are we on about things like food? Because obviously then you need food and water, wouldn't you? But if not, maybe caffeine, like coffee. Yeah, completely true, Vladimir. Yeah, I've got asthma as well, but my asthma at least isn't too serious. I now and again need my inhaler, but otherwise I don't. But yeah, chronic illness does really just change your perspective on stuff, because it's not like a terminal illness where you know you've got a certain amount of time left, but it does really change your perspective where certain things that you take for granted you can't take for granted anymore and stuff like that. Yeah, I'm totally fucked, Lloyd, if I can't get my medication. I've done a video on that before. It's why I don't do a lot of prepping, to be honest. I've got prepping for some stuff, but long-term stuff I just don't bother because I die really painfully, wasting away, so I don't see the point. If I knew there was going to be an end of the world type scenario, I wouldn't try and hang on. I'd just go out, with alcohol and opioids or whatever. You can't get better, Nazar, but thank you anyway. I do appreciate it. But yeah, it's one of those things where people say, I hope you get it. You can't. It's incurable, sadly. As I said, I can vape and I can do lots of things that relieve my symptoms. CBD oil helps a lot as well. What's your question, know you? It was your mother, weapon collector. You could know you, but the issue is I don't think the filters would stay in, because they only stay in because they're held by tension inside the cheeks. Or so you just be nuked wilderness systems. I suppose if you're nuked, it'll be very quick, won't you? If you're within the blast radius, it'll just be, you're gone. Cheers, Nazar, I appreciate that. Yeah, I was saying, ideally, Bone Broth, maybe they will come up with some sort of DNA altering treatment. That's interesting. Steve, is it a good vest, though? Is it that one you said that was in, like, the Polish Woodland one, WZ93 cam or whatever it is? Yeah, I definitely agree with what Richard says. When you're sighting in a crossbow, regardless of the brand, start within a few yards of your target and then work your way backward, zeroing it. Because you don't want to take a shot at 20 yards or so, have the sights be completely off, and then risk, doing collateral damage. Yeah, out of interest, Mike, I was going to say, the Armex, like £80 crossbows, I wonder who actually makes those, because I know they're just essentially rebranded, aren't they? Because Armex, all they do is just rebrand crossbows, so I wonder who does those, but... I've been into A&E a couple of times with ulcerative colitis, but not so much as being rushed into A&E, more like being, kept in hospital because of things. I go on outpatient visits about once a year, where a doctor talks to me about different medication plans and stuff like that. Blumenthal, yes. Shot somebody, Blumenthal. So just Horizon's rebranded, just with a slightly weaker string or prod. That's interesting. But yeah. Yeah, the thing is, that's what really annoys me. Even though I'm religious myself, Bone Broth, that's the thing that really annoys me about all those religious people who are totally against stem cell research and things like that, because it just totally fucks over people with certain diseases and things like that, that could in theory be cured if people could just find a way of essentially fixing your DNA code. But, it's the religious crazies that are like, oh, vaccines cause autism and vaccines make the devil and all other medical things are bad. It's like, fuck off, really, fuck off. So the video where I turn my PBF inside out, can you put a filter in it so it's like the World War II British Civil Defence mask? I don't actually know, I never tried it. I don't think it would hold in, to be honest. I'm sorry to hear that, Bone Broth. I mean, I am generally, sorry to hear that. It always sucks when you have a relative or something like that, doesn't it? Well, we'll hope so, Nazar, but in the meantime, I've got my painkillers, I've got this, I've got my prescription medication, so I can cope with it, I've not done loads into it, Shot Zombie, but I know there was obviously the first and second Chechen War. The Russians lost the first Chechen War and they won the second one. Are there any good movies about the Chechen War? because even if they're like Russian ones subtitled, I'd love to watch them actually. Because apparently there's some very good Russian wars about, not Russian wars, Russian films. You can tell I've been drinking now, can't you? Russian films about the Afghan war. But I've never got around to watching those subtitled, but I imagine I'd find them very interesting. So I do really like foreign war films that try and be as accurate as possible in the language of the people, the country it's based on. Search, okay. Yeah, that's an interesting point, Richard. I really don't know. Oh, that's good to know, Bone Broth. I mean, I hope she does well as possible, but, I've lost family members to cancer and stuff like that. It's just a horrible thing, really, isn't it? But, thoughts and prayers, really, with her. That's all I can say. I really do hope the best for her, but, there's lots of things. I don't want it to get too depressing on the stream, but, I've had relatives die of things and relatives ill with things that are incurable that, make them go downhill, and, it just sucks, really, doesn't it? Sorry, I saw you made a comment on that before, Andrej, but I don't know if or Andre, however your name's pronounced. I'm afraid I don't think I replied to it. There's not much you can do. You can only really soak it in soapy water and stuff like that, but the rubber smell is kind of the rubber smell. They often don't go away because it's the actual rubber giving off the smell. You could try maybe getting some lemon and concentrating lemon juice into some water and soaking it underwater for ages and see if that makes it smell more lemony, but yeah, with Soviet masks, the smell is there forever, really, as Bloxia says. In my opinion, my GP5 doesn't smell bad, but it does have a distinctive smell to it, and I think some of the mask smells are off-putting to people, but I don't mind. It's just part of the character of the mask to me. What sort of problems have you had with Soviet uniform shot zombies and not looking realistic in films, or trying to find them? What do you mean? Yeah, but then it will just smell like piss instead, won't it, Soggy? Oh, that's very interesting, Vladimir. So the smell is actually there because it keeps the rubber in good condition. Very good to know. Thank you. Yeah, that's the thing, Richard, actually, saying that, is if there was ever a Deus Ex kind of thing, and they could give me a mechanical colon that would work properly in terms of, working and processing waste and everything, I would have that in an instant. I wouldn't question it, because I think stuff like that, the sort of transhumanist stuff, I think for people with certain conditions, that stuff is brilliant. If you've got one of those conditions, you'd probably be a lot more open to it. That's all I'm going to say, really, on that sort of subject. Yeah, my granddad's 93 and he's still alive, Iron Man, and he was conscripted when he was 18 in 1944, I think it was. But yeah, they are getting old now, aren't they? But I have a lot of respect for people like that, because the thing is, like somebody like my granddad, he has a very positive outlook on life, even though he's been through some absolutely horrible shit, and I think that puts stuff into perspective quite a lot. When you get people moaning about the most mundane things, he's somebody who saw absolutely horrible things and he still tries to be a positive person. So there's all stuff like that, and I've got respect for war vets wherever they're from, as long as they're decent people. Oh, dropping supplies to West Germany. Good on him, Lloyd. Do you want to stop spamming the chat, Joshua? Yeah, you've already been given a timeout, thank you. I'm glad he survived the gulag. I find all stuff like that really interesting, to be honest. So yeah, I've probably said about it before, but with my family, my great-granddad was in World War I, but I don't know much about him. I know one of them, because I think maybe both my great-grandfathers were in World War I. One of them survived the war and then died a couple of years later in like an industrial accident in a grain silo that used to be not far from my house. Oh, actually saying that, Iron Man might know, because he's from Oxford. Do you know, before they blew it up, what was it called? It was water something, grain silo, wasn't it? The one that's near Kidlington. If you know that grain silo, that was where he died, Iron Man. Because I think he had like a fall or was crushed in there. But yeah, was it Water Eaton? Water Eaton grain silo? It's one of the ones like that. whatever that one was called, the grain silo that used to be in Kidlington. He died. He survived World War One and died there tragically. Imagine that, surviving World War One and dying in a like mundane sort of industrial kind of accident. Then my granddad's eldest brother was Merchant Navy in World War Two, and he saw some shit because he actually got torpedoed at one point. So he was supplying Russia or Soviet Union in supply convoys from Britain. Merchant Navy got really fucked over because they had such a dangerous job going through the Arctic waters supplying the Soviet Union. Then after World War II, they were barely recognised as doing a military kind of job, even though they were literally, having to go past U-boats and Stukas and all that to supply the Soviets. But his most interesting story is eldest brother, Douglas, I think that was. Yeah, it was Douglas. They got torpedoed off the coast of America when they were either taking something to America or going back from America. And when they were rescued by the Americans, they were given shore leave for a bit, and they were put in a load of propaganda films. So he apparently met Boris Karloff and stuff like that, and they were given a tour of Hollywood because they wanted to do, like the Americans wanted to do some propaganda films about how they're helping Britain. So after maybe at some point I'll be able to track down the propaganda film he's actually in and point them out. But yeah, he met Boris Karloff and all the stuff like that. One of my granddad's other older brothers, he was in the he was a medic, and he served in like Sicily and Italy. And yeah, my granddad was Royal Artillery during D-Day, up until the end of the war. Originally on a 25-pounder artillery gun, and then later on a 17-pounder anti-tank gun destroying tanks. Something like that, Vladimir. I don't know. I have to ask my granddad next time I see him. But yeah, I do know he was in the Merchant Navy, obviously supplying the Soviet Union, but I don't know too much about it, because it's only when my granddad wants to talk about stuff like that I talk about him, because, obviously there's painful memories of some of the stuff like that. He won't always want to talk about stuff like that. I never push him to talk about it. He's one of those blokes that has killed people, but you never go to him, have you killed anyone? It's that sort of thing where, from what he's been through, he has. But it's that sort of thing. But I find that stuff very interesting. But one of the interesting things as well, my parents were saying that my granddad is the only guy who's ever talked, the only person he's ever talked about World War II to, like his experiences. Like after he came back from the war, he would never talk to his family about it, but he talks to me about it for some reason. And he's told me, I'm not going to say him on stream because they're quite private, but how like some of the people he knew died and all that sort of stuff. Which is fascinating. That's, it's horrible in a lot of ways, but, Oh, it's a shame shot zombie, but I suppose, yeah, is what it is, isn't it? I wouldn't mind if I'm reenacting. I do either side, but I don't do any reenacting. Tomorrow I will do a stream, but as it's Friday, I'll stream earlier in the day. I'll probably stream about between 12 and 2 p.m. sort of time. I'm not sure exactly when. 12 to 3 p.m. sort of time. Give you a loose estimate, depending on what time I get up and what jobs I have to do tomorrow. Yeah, we went on holiday with my granddad, sort of a holiday to Normandy. When I was quite young, so he could visit a lot of the war graves of people he knew and go to a lot of the museums and stuff like that. And if I was older, I'd have really appreciated that, but sadly I was probably like 5 or 6 all the time, so I didn't really know much about it. But, obviously that was something he wanted to do, was to go back to Normandy. Yeah. That's very interesting, Mr. Sutherland. Sounds like a great bloke. I assume it's a ship marsh Milo's, but off the top of my head, I don't know which one it was. But yeah, if you want to hear a more funny story of my granddad in World War II, like not one of the horrible ones, because I wouldn't say the horrible ones on stream anyway. That's an interesting shot, zombie. Oh, I might look into that, Vladimir, because that's interesting. I'll tell you one of the interesting things, though, because you'll find this interesting being Russian. After my granddad's eldest brother Douglas died, who was the one in the Merchant Navy, my granddad put in, because apparently they were offered medals, and they could put in for it, like posthumously getting the medals. And he put in for it, and he was denied. But apparently, what ended up happening was because Putin offered medals to any of the British servicemen that were Merchant Navy, the government had to go back and rethink it. And while I don't think he ended up getting a medal or anything, I think he did get some sort of notification kind of, accommodation kind of thing because of that. So because, as much as our politicians like to keep calling evil Putin, blah, 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 in the West, he did that. My granddad did get some kind of remembrance thing out of it for him, Getting a bit emotional now talking about all this stuff. But yeah, if you want to hear one of my granddad's funny war stories, I'm sure he wouldn't mind me sharing. This is quite a funny one. This was, I think, Belgium, he said this was, and it had been the winter. And basically what had happened was they'd liberated some town from the Germans, and then they were all looting, basically. There's a big department store, so they were all looting. And they got this wheelbarrow. There's a scene in Band of Brothers which is a bit like this, so you might be familiar with this. So they were pushing a wheelbarrow, and they'd come out of the department store, and it was full of clothes and whatever else, because it was a bombed-out department store, and they were just taking like whatever they could find from the department store. Some military police came up to them, and they said, "Where the fuck did you get all that stuff?" And my granddad said, "Oh, they thought they were in the shit. They'd been caught with all this wheelbarrow full of looted stuff." They pointed to the burnt-out department store, and then the military police ran off to join in the looting. So that's one of his more funny war stories, one of the actual ones he enjoys telling people about, not, the ones about people dying horribly and all that. But that's interesting, Bone Broth. I imagine glue tins would be pretty dangerous, wouldn't it? Be like sniffing petrol. But yeah, that's one of the stories he always likes to tell, because it's one of the, more pleasant ones. But some of his war stories are pretty fascinating. Just said a lot of them I won't share because they're a bit too private. I wouldn't mind telling you, Mike, in like a private message or whatever. It's just I wouldn't really want to tell him to everyone on the stream, because he told me to sort of, relay painful memories a bit and get him off his chest a bit to me, some of this. But I'm not going to do a stream, as I said, on the war stories, like the horrible war stories, just because, as I said, they're very private things when soldiers go through that sort of stuff, and they all cope in their own ways. That's cool, Marshmallows. Yeah, I enjoy roller coaster. I haven't been for a theme park in years. I'm glad he survived, Nazar, but yeah, shame about the one that died, but That's interesting. So back into the 1770s, Lloyd. That's going really far back. Yeah, it'd be good if Mount can remember some of them. I said you don't have to share them, do you, if they're too personal kind of thing, but some of those are very interesting to just sort of hear what people went through from a real perspective. But yeah, like I said, I just have a lot of respect for that sort of generation of men who went through something as hellish as World War II, came out of it, and still kept a positive aspect, like outlook on life. Well, I suppose that's kind of one of the reasons why they did have a positive outlook on life, because I suppose everything was better after that, DDR uniforms are really cool. I've got full DDR officers and enlisted man sort of parade uniforms, and I've got full strict time stuff. But Shot Zombie is one of the best people in the chat to talk to about DDR uniforms, because he has Blumenthal. Suppose when life gives you oranges, Shot Zombie. There's a story I might share on the stream, alright, I will, because I've been drinking. Let me have a bit more first. That he told me that's kind of in the territory of horrible war story, but it's not something that happened to him or his friends. So I'll share this one. And he told it us at the restaurant while we were eating, and put my mum off her food, which was quite funny. So again, this was, I think, 1944 or some time when it was really snowy and cold. And there was a dead German, and one of the guys in his squad, because they were artillery crew. So I think my granddad was the gunner. But, like they were all like loaders, gunners, whatever. They'd have had the guy in charge, who was the guy who sat on the gunner seat, all that sort of stuff. And there was a dead German frozen in the snow with his jackboots on. And one of the guys, if you're wondering why there's a bit of writing on my hand, it says 13.5 free smallies, so I cleaned up 13 rabbits and free smallies today, so I get distracted. One of the guys in his squad wanted the jackboots as a souvenir. So they went to pull the jackboots off the dead German soldier. This guy went to pull the jackboots off the dead German soldier, and his legs came off of the jackboots because he'd been frozen. And apparently this guy started vomiting and went as white as a sheet, and they were taking the piss out of him all day for it. And of course he brought that up when we were having a meal in a restaurant with our entire family, and just started chuckling about it, like, quietly. And my mum was just sort of sat there going, sort of thing. That's pretty funny, Mr. Sutherland. But yeah. Yeah. I suppose that's a fast way of learning how to swim, isn't it, Mike? A crash course in swimming. But yeah, I totally agree with that, Iron Man Spartan. That's cool as well. Sorry, not I was going to say Canadians. Canadians are meant to be some pretty badass guys, aren't they, when it comes to war, in terms of, like, how well they perform in wars. Maybe a Polish CM3 Dominion or a Czech MC1? Wait, or is it the Polish MC? See, I've been drinking now. No, Polish MC1 or a Czech CM3. I think I've told you before, haven't I, everybody, the story about how he almost got all the Hitler Youth knives, or the SS knives, or whatever it was, because they were clearing out an abandoned field hospital or something, and then there was all these stashes of knives in the attic, and they took loads and loads of knives each, but the military police confiscated them from him. And he's saying that, I was saying to him, that's a shame, because say he took a dozen of these, like SS or Hitler Youth knives back, they'd be worth several £100s each today. So he could have sold some of them, got a load of money for something and kept a few of his souvenirs. I think I'd probably rather have ulcerative colitis to diabetes, but I wouldn't want either, you know what I mean? Like, all those conditions are horrible, up is down. So my sympathies that you have, diabetes. I hope you get on with it all right. But I don't actually have any Russian World War II masks, but wasn't there the BTN 41 or whatever it's called that looks fairly decent? It doesn't look too dissimilar to an MM1, to be honest. All right, go on marshmallows. I'd love to hear it. That's interesting. So in the Boer War. Yeah, Boer War was really interesting, wasn't it? Because Britain ended up winning that war in the end, but just because we massively outnumbered the South Africans. But the South African Boers fought really fiercely and did a really good job. It was a bit like the American Civil War, you equate them to the Confederacy, where they fought with a lot more skill and determination and everything, but in the end they were fighting against an industrial power that was so much bigger than them that they were utterly crushed because there was nothing they could do against it. Yeah, all the kids brought flick knives. Yeah, why not say a Soviet joke, Nazar, as long as YouTube doesn't censor it. Yeah, my granddad said, Shot Zombie, he had an air rifle he bought from a German, because he traded, I think, rations to a German civilian for an air rifle. But he said it was a really shit air rifle because he saw a rabbit in the field, and he shot the rabbit with an air rifle, and it just bounced off. The rabbit looked at him and ran away. Seems like that was a really bad trade, trading food for that. I guess it must have been like 1 or 2 foot-pounds or something. I'm going to read it out, Nazar, as you say it. So there's an American and a Soviet guy, and they're arguing. And the American guy says, and I'll do the accents, why not? Because I've been drinking. That's how much is left now. I hope the vodka isn't heavier than the other stuff, otherwise the bottom's going to be stronger. Oh, is this the Ronald Reagan joke? Can I just try, Nazar, and see if I can predict your joke? Well, in my country, I can go to the White House and I can protest outside and I wouldn't be arrested. And the Soviet says, oh, this is also true. in Soviet Union, I could go outside the White House and shout down Ronald Reagan. I wouldn't be arrested either. Did I get the joke right? I know a lot of those Soviet jokes. It's this vodka or grain alcohol, 95% stuff, mate. It's mixed with cream soda, because there was an out-of-date cream soda in the fridge that's been sitting there for yonks, so I thought I'd use it up to mix it with vodka. Cream soda is really nice with rum, but yeah, it's that sort of joke. There's a lot of variations on those jokes, aren't there? Yeah, the Russian White House was, yeah, that was when they had all the stuff going away from the Soviet Union, wasn't it? Wasn't there a thing for the military coup, though, while Gorbachev was still in charge in the Soviet White House as well? I'll tell you a Soviet joke first, Nazar, that my mate Max told me, which I like. There's a bloke, and he's queuing in a bread line in the Soviet Union. And the bread line's really, really, really long. And he, I'm going to have to try and remember, so I don't want to fuck it up, but he basically starts shouting, saying, "Oh, this is terrible, this is awful. You know, we are Soviet citizens and we have to wait in line for bread." And then another guy says, you know, "Oh, yes, but it is, you know, you shouldn't complain too much, comrade, or maybe they will shoot you." And he says, you know, "I am going to go around, scream at the top of your lungs, you know, how bad it is that we have not got any bread." I'm going to fuck this joke up, but let's just go on with it anyway. So later the bloke goes home to his wife, and she goes, "Oh, did you get the bread?" And he goes, "No, I did not get the bread." And she goes, "That is bad." He goes, "It is worse than that. I was complaining. They didn't shoot me. They have run out of bullets." It's probably funnier if I knew the exact thing properly, but it's something like that. There's another joke like that where they're in a bread line, and he's going, "This bread line is long, it is terrible. I am going to go to the Kremlin and kill Gorbachev." And then, like, 20 minutes later, the guy comes back and he goes, "Oh, did you kill Gorbachev then?" Like, and the next guy in the line, he goes, "No, I went to the Kremlin and the line to kill Gorbachev was even longer." Yeah, there's something like that. There's like so many variations of the same jokes, though. Also, Daryl, Iron Man. As in Daryl, Mike's friend, but I don't know what Don't Do a Daryl is. Do you know what the name of it even is, Shop Zombie? Now, the weird thing is, can everybody see Vladimir's comment up there? Because it's in a load of text that looks like it can't be seen. But I can read it. Oh, terrible jokes that never end properly. Sounds like a book. It's like Frankie Boyle's autobiography, My Shit Life So Far. So he tried to get rid of alcoholism by telling them the price of alcohol has gone up. I'm going to search that M49 German camo. Most of the stuff coming up is just strict Han. Oh, is this the one that's kind of like a pinky brown in splodges? Oh, wait, no, this is M58 Flouch and Tarn Muster. Okay, it's not that one then. There's some Blumenthal. It's not that one. Oh, I hope you get some anyway, because it sounds interesting. You mean you believe this? Yeah, that's the sad thing with stuff like alcoholism, isn't it? Is most, even if you put the prices up, and you know, it's not going to stop somebody who's an alcoholic, is there? Because if they're that addicted to something, they're just going to keep taking it. I have a British Mickey Mouse gas mask, but not the American one because it's incredibly rare. Mikey. I think you mean Mickey with a C-K, but yeah, Mickey Mouse. Okay, that's interesting. Shot Zombie. Well, they eliminate it, Vladimir, by drinking it. Right, let me have a look what one that is, Iron Man, because some of the stab vests, like the ones Jorg Sprav reviewed, are awful. They're like just a thin bit of aluminium. But let's see what the new one looks like. If they're one of those... The one that says it's level 1 tungsten steel is probably actually good. Let's have a look if it's this one. Although it's only got 3-star reviews. It says... Plates made from strong steel. The plate's level 1 stab-proof. Dimensions of plate. 27 plates on the front, 27 plates on the back. All overlap. Somebody's saying in a review they're not convinced by the build quality. Somebody's saying the zip broke on them. Yeah, personally, I'd still say go for the ex-police vest because they're made to a better standard. Scott GSR is my least favourite gas mask. Yeah, or getting a baking tray like I did, maybe wearing the baking tray around you with a bit of paracord or something. Well, the thing is, NBC suits could be put on prior to going into a chemical environment. So yeah, if you're a guy on the front line, a gas shower lands, you're pretty fucked. But NBC suits can obviously be used in the sense of, you know, wearing them prior if you expect gas to happen, or guys going into a contaminated area putting the NB suits on prior to going in. What, the M76, is that whatever it's called, Shot Zombie? Yeah, I've got one of them. They look really cool because they remind me of GM30s. But yeah, they're awful because I've got the biggest size and it doesn't even fit me properly. Yeah, well, fuck it. I'm not taking shots of this shit. If somebody mentions the word gas mask. I have to try and find the start of your joke. So they're in prison. So one guy says he's got 10 years, yeah? The other guy says he's got 15 years. What does he need to get 15 years? So 2 inmates in the prison. Can I guess that this is the one where, I know there's a joke. This might not be the one where, so you carry on putting your joke in the chat. But I know there's a joke where, one of the guys says, oh, I'm going to fuck this up now because I can't remember it all that well. But I know there's one where there's like 3 guys in a prison. One says he was pro something, so he was put in prison. One says he was an anti-certain person, so he was put in prison. The third person is the actual person. There you go on with your joke, Nazar. So yeah, the guy's asking why we got 15 years in prison. Right, in the bottle, it's just 95% Polish grain alcohol vodka. What's in here is cream soda mixed with some of it. So it tastes like cream soda with a paint stripper taste. There you go. When you say straps, DDR collector, do you mean gas mask straps or like satchel straps? But just a soapy bit of war, I guess. Maybe a bit of washing powder and water, and then just dunk them in the water. No, Lloyd, I don't actually drink very much, to be honest. Most of the week I don't drink at all. Every now and then I have a beer in the evenings, and today I just thought it'd be funny on the stream to just drink really strong vodka. But most of the time, no, I don't drink. But drinking makes me a bit more talkative, so, you know, there's that. So if I'm doing a stream, as much as I might start slurring what people are saying in the chat, I'm more likely to engage happily with people, I guess. Which is your favourite of all the 13 patterns then, Shot Zombie? Alright, cheers, Ghost Jesus. I'll give you an invite to the Discord if you do a donation on Patreon. Is that a river? The Dramsfjord? I guess fjord would be like a river. I do like Navy rum Iron Man when I drink, but I haven't had rum in ages, actually. But I like rum and coke. I've got a piano, but I don't play it to a good standard. No, Daniel, even if you donated that money, I wouldn't, because right, if this is a 500ml bottle, for the maths people, how much do you reckon is left in there? At least 100 millilitres? This is 95% volume. So if you work out what a regular 100 millilitres of vodka alcohol contents would have in it, imagine that. But way, way, way more alcoholic. I like Ghost masks, but again, you need a Polish FP5 filter or whatever to use them safely. So yeah, 95% alcohol volume on over 100 millilitres of liquid. That's going to be nearly 100% alcohol, isn't it? Music do I listen to? All sorts. I quite like soundtracks, to be honest, but soundtracks, prog rock, a lot of 80s synth kind of stuff. As in a gas mask from the 1940s. Late 1940s, the American M9. Early 1940s, British light anti-gas respirator. Not if you have a lid on it. If I kept the lid off, I'm sure it would evaporate. But yeah, with a lid on it can't because it's trapped in the bottle. Yeah, I wouldn't do that, Iron Man. The last time I got really hungover was on vodka, because I had a bottle of vodka. For some reason, I didn't keep it in the drinks cabinet. I kept it in my room. This is going back a few months ago. And I was having a night where I just really couldn't get to sleep. So every sort of 10, 15 minutes, I get out of bed, take a swig of the vodka and put the bottle back. And then I must have ended up drinking like a quarter of the vodka bottle. And then obviously the room started spinning and I vomited and everything. But yeah, wouldn't do that again. Oh, Jeff Wayne's War of the Worlds is my favourite album, Nazar. I'd be hard pressed to tell you what my favourite track from that is. Either Horse or Common and the Heat Ray, or the Fighting Machine, or the Artilleryman, the Fighting Machine, I guess. But I said lots of pictures of Sid Wilson. Are you on about a particular picture of Sid Wilson? Yeah, homebrew can be really strong, can't it, Bone Broth? I see you, Richard. You on Twitch tonight, Mike, at like 10, doing some more Heavy Rain? Yeah, well, Iron Man, I do want to do some more body armor videos because I want to do some on like making decent improvised armor. What I need to do is find some way of cutting out that from that baking tray, like a front armor panel, so then I can put some foam and like paper behind it and then make it as a plate. Yeah, I like rum. Weirdly, Otaku, you've got the same picture that Max has on Steam, so that's confusing me now. My mate Max, but I like Nam's. You can tell I've been drinking now, can't you? Because I can't even pronounce the word. Lamb's Navy, Kraken, Sailor Jerry's I really like, Mount Gay. I'm not a massive fan of Captain Morgan's, it tastes too synthetic to me. I like most cocktails, to be honest. If it's alcoholic and tastes nice, I'll drink it. I think Heavy Rain would be funny, Mike, just because, one, I've been drinking tonight, so I'm in a laughable mood, and I think if you're doing Heavy Rain, we'll just be pointing out all the funny things and going, oh, do this to that character, do that to that character, so I think we'll have more of a laugh if you do, Heavy Rain. But I don't have a disc cutter. I mean, I could potentially buy one, but I've got a load of different drill bits for the drill, so I might do what Weapon Collector does and get one of those drills. I've got a massive kit of drill bits, so get one of the drills that can go through metal and then just keep drilling along like that, and then maybe get a metal saw and finish it off that way. Yeah, we'll try and kill everybody off in the funniest way possible, I guess, Mike, or just do stupid decisions as a character. The thing that really annoys me, DDR Collector, is when you have movies and games where people have gas masks on, but they don't have a filter in the gas mask. Because somebody's not done any research into how a gas mask works then. So is it called an eye nibbler? That's cool. So what's that? Yeah, it's like a power tool then, is it? Yeah, that looks interesting. I suppose I could get one at some point. Yeah, I'll do another nightmare video. I've had a couple of interesting nightmares since the last one that I can remember. One of them is one I've mentioned before on a random video where I was in like this mansion. Sometimes in nightmares I can't remember if I'm one of the characters or I'm like third person observing another character. Regardless, say me for now. I was in this mansion. It was like an old decrepit mansion. And if you looked after the mansion, it would keep you in good condition. But if you tried to leave or anything like that, the mansion would torture you. It was like, you know, omniscient, omnipresent mansion kind of possessed building. I'm trying to think what some other nightmares I've had now recently which are creepy are, but I've been drinking, so it's hard to remember, as you can guess. Now, the problem is with most 60mm filters, William, is that they're the same size for filter medium as 40mm filters, and quite often 60mm filters, despite having the bigger intake of 60mm, have a very small hole on the outtake anyway. So it still bottlenecks the air going through anyway, so not really any better than 40mm. Initially, I thought they probably would be for that reason, but yeah, in theory, you could make a 60mm filter better than a 40mm filter in terms of airflow, but most aren't, because most still have, let me show you the finished M61. I think there's one on the scroll. Right, here's a Finish M61 filter, right? So, yeah, the 60mm bit gives you a lot of airflow. But notice that hole is actually small. So your airflow is restricted by that hole going in there. So, yeah, that's the problem with a lot of 60mm filters. Same with Canadian C3 filters. They've got a 60mm bit there, but the actual intake hole is very small. So, they don't give you any advantages over 40mm at all. And if I get a 40mm out, just a second. If you notice the size of these two filters, you'll see the 60mm is barely bigger than it. It's slightly bigger, but not very much. So it's not going to really last any longer at all either. And again, the intake size is about the same. I wonder. Let me just try something. I don't mind a bit of rock, but as I said, I prefer prog rock to regular rock. Just to give you an idea if the sizes are the same. Sizes are the same. Just thought I'd try that. Yeah, my dad likes port. Yeah, look, see, the finished one fits in that one. And that one fits in that one. So yeah, it doesn't give you any better airflow than a 40mm because the front is bottlenecked. So yeah, there you go. 60mm aren't better than 40mm, mainly for the reason that the intake holes are pretty much the same, and they're actually the same overall size as a 40mm. 40mm also means you can design the mask and have a smaller intake area for the filter. I'll finish the stream fairly soon because I'm slurring my speech, but I might as well finish that vodka off on the stream, or whatever the hell it is, so you know I finished it. Oh, I'm losing the dexterity in my fingers to put the cap back on this filter. Where's it gone? I can't find it. It flew off in the drawer somewhere. There it is. Right. Let's try this again. Go flat in the drawer. Yeah, there we go. Well, if you notice at the beginning of the stream, I didn't put loads in the glass. I know better from past mistakes not to drink a stupid amount of this vodka. or grain alcohol, whatever it is. So yeah. I think I've done an old stream, Mike, somewhere where I got slightly drunk. I'd say I'm tipsy at the moment, not drunk, because I'm still in a good mood. I don't know Dr. Complot, and I have no way of testing it. I've heard of it, Iron Man, but I've never seen it. So I've watched Trainspotting as well, because I've never seen that, and I do quite like Danny Boyle films. Also, not Red Letter Media, 13 O'Clock Podcast recommended, was it Shallow Grave? So I have to watch that. No, it's actually drinkable alcohol, but there's the bottle for the Polish viewers. If you want to tell me exactly what it is it grain alcohol? Is it vodka? I know you're not meant to drink it neat, you're meant to mix it, but yeah, I like schnapps. I bought that in Poland in 2015. I bought 2 bottles. I finished the first one, and that's the other one I'm very slowly getting through. What about Sid Wilson? He wears gas masks and he destroys them. Up is down. Oh, did I import it illegally? Shots on me. You're allowed to set them out through customs, so I guess I do have a license for the vodka. But yeah, I bought those in a Polish supermarket in Warsaw before I came home because they were like a couple of quid a bottle. I think they were like £4 or £5 a bottle. They're 500 millilitres, not 70 centilitres like most spirits are in the UK, but you get a lot of alcohol for £5, basically 500 millilitres and 95% stuff. No, I don't have any siblings, Zeppelin. I think on some old video Shot Zombie I've reviewed some East German stuff. I suppose it's a good age to start you on it, isn't it? As long as you drink it responsibly. The problem is, this tastes more like vodka the lower I'm getting, the less like cream soda. So the last bit is probably the most likely bit to, you know, cause me problems. In the Czech Republic, I bought that kind of like herbal spirit they do there. That's quite nice. And apparently there's a joke in the Czech Republic that you take this before going to the doctor. And if you're still ill after drinking this alcohol, then you need to see a doctor. I can't remember the name of it without looking it up. I like quite strong bitters, to be honest, Ancestral Sage. I'm just drinking this up because it's in the cupboard. Yeah, it'd probably be quite nice with orange juice, I imagine, Iron Man. I've tried a lot of, things with fruit juices and spirits, and they're always quite nice. Anyway, I'll finish the stream in a minute. How long has it been on for? Around 40 minutes? Pretty good. Weirdly, Vladimir, I get people that subscribe to me that don't like my videos. So why you would subscribe to me and watch my videos if you dislike them, I don't know. But there you go, there's people that do it. If there's anybody on that hasn't clicked like yet, give it a like. Yeah, John Smith's is alright. In terms of lagers, I quite like, I know John Smith's a bitter, but in terms of lager, I quite like Kronenberg 1604, or whatever it's called. And what's the other one I like? There's another lager I really like. Some more like a Pilsner kind of one. In terms of bitters, I like most bitters, to be honest. Yeah, I hate people fucking up loads of historical artifacts, to be honest, DDR collectible, especially when it's an old rare rifle. Like, let's smash the furniture off and paint it. No, I don't play Pub Battlegrounds on PC or PS4. No, Pumpkin Cider Truck sounds interesting, but I've never tried them. Yeah, I'll be off in a minute so I can go to the toilet and everything before Weapon Collector starts his stream. In case you're wondering, I've got a load of water here because what I'm going to do as soon as I finish this, I'm going to have a load of water just so I don't end up hungover tomorrow. But I'm working Saturday, not tomorrow. So if I'm slightly hungover tomorrow, it doesn't matter. But I don't want to be hungover. All right, let's finish this. Yeah, it's definitely a bit stronger at the bottom. If you donate, you can join the Discord, but I just set up for donators only. That's fine with me, Mike, because it means I can just get some snacks and everything, and I can set my aircon back up. So I've had the aircon off while I'm streaming, but the room's at 27.1C now, and it was 23C after I turned the aircon off before I started the stream. So it's gone up in an hour and 40 minutes, like 4 degrees or something, 3 or 4 degrees. Any mod NATO filter is perfectly safe, Gabby Dubs. Anyway, I'm going to end the stream now. It's been 1 hour 40 minutes. As you can tell, I'm quite tipsy. I don't want to say anything I regret or anything on the stream. I'm finding it harder and harder to read comments as the stream goes on, as you can imagine. So thank you. I've had a good stream. If you're going to say something, I'll say it quickly because I'm going to go off. I've mostly got CBD vape liquids through eBay, SRS. Just be careful because there's some CBD oils you can't vape because some are more like the ones you take under your tongue. But you can get CBD e-liquids. And there's some eBay sellers I found sell them cheaper and have good reviews and seem to work that are cheaper than like some of the things like the e-liquid websites. Say something in Russian. There you go. I wish I hadn't started that meme years ago. I really wish I hadn't started that meme. But there you go. Anyway, I'll be off. But thanks, everybody. It's been an enjoyable stream. I've probably drunk too much because I probably put too much of that stuff in there than I anticipated. But I'm in quite a good mood. I'm smiling. What's not to like? So yeah, I'll see you on Twitch a bit later. But yeah, see you then. Goodbye.